Hey y'all, welcome back, or if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Nyx. Please pull up a chair. We're about to have a conversation. Now, I want to start this episode with something really simple, so to speak, a confession almost, if you will. I use astrology. I talk about it regularly. I reference it in my readings. I use it as a lens through which I understand energy, my own, my clients, and the collective energy. We are all swimming in together. And before I go any further, I just want to say this to you. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to believe in astrology, not even a little bit. You can watch this entire series that I'm developing, every single episode, or other things related to astrology, and never once decide that astrology is your thing. Okay? That's okay. That is genuinely, completely, 100p okay. Because this isn't about converting you. This is about opening a door. And what you do with that open door, well, that's entirely on you to decide. Now, let me tell you who I am in this specific conversation because honestly, I do think that matters. I am not an astrologer. I want to be very upfront about that. I don't have a formal certification in astrology or astronomy. I am honestly not even sure what the correct terminology is. Is it astrologer? Is it astrologist? I don't know. I'll let the professionals sort that out for you. But what I am, or should I say who I am, is someone who has been in active, consistent, deep study of this for years, and I want to share my understandings of it with you. This is not something I picked up last week and decided to make content about. No. This is something that I have loved since I was a kid, reading horoscopes out of the newspaper. Yes, the newspaper. And the back of the Cosmopolitan magazine when I was in high school. But we don't need to discuss how long ago that was. Okay? But that curiosity, it never left. Horoscopes became natal charts became transits became a deeper understanding of energy, how it moves, how it speaks, how it shows up in our bodies, our relationships, our patterns, our daily lives. And the deeper I go, the more there is, which is honestly exactly why I wanted to create this series in the first place, because I know what it feels like to be in the middle of learning something and not be able to find it explained in a way that actually lands with ease. I am not here as the authority of someone who has all the answers. No, never. I'm always a student. But I am here as someone who has done and is still doing the work. Someone who has found something genuinely useful in it. And I want to share that in a way that I hope makes sense for the person who's just starting out, but also for the person who has been doing this for years and enjoys different ways of understanding and explaining it to others. That is who I am in this. I hope you catch a vibe, and I hope you join the conversation as it unfolds or evolves, whatever. So, here's how I've come to understand astrology. Imagine a puzzle, a really intricate, detailed, gorgeous puzzle. Now imagine someone handing you one single piece and saying, here, this is the whole picture. You're gonna look at them like, what? That's just one piece. Where the frig is the rest of it? That's how I felt when I first started consuming astrology. The content, the literature, the readings, the books, all of it. Not because anything I gravitated towards wasn't good. Honestly, there is so much richness out there. Readers who have dedicated their lives to this work. People who go so deep it'll make your head spin. In the best possible way, of course. But I kept feeling like, and I'm only speaking to what has entered and moved through my own personal orbit here. I just kept feeling like we were only ever talking about one piece at a time. What zodiac we are in, what Mercury is doing, what does the moon say, with a sprinkle of something to embolden the point that was being driven home. Each one had value, each one with its own richness, but I wanted the whole puzzle. I wanted to understand how the zodiac archetype sets the tone, the overall vibe of the season, how the planetary transits speak to what's being activated within that tone, specific conversations happening inside that vibe, right? And how all of it together creates a complete energetic picture to what we can actually use. Not just read about or listen to, but actually use to navigate our lives with more awareness, more intention, more compassion for ourselves and for others. And yes, in my readings, I also use cards. And I'm going to briefly explain what the cards do in the context of my personal work. The cards aren't the lesson. The zodiac archetype is the lesson. The transits are the lesson. The cards are how I tell the story. They're the narrative layer, the translator between the cosmic and the personal. They take everything that astrology is pointing to and bring it home to you. Your life, your patterns, your season, and whatever it is you're navigating within that season. That's the whole puzzle to me. And that's what I want to build with you in this series. So, when I first started posting my readings, I was only doing monthly zodiac energy forecasts. That was it. Monthly, one reading, the zodiac we were moving into and what it meant energetically and how to navigate it, so to speak. And I loved it. But a friend of mine, I'm not sure how deeply into astrology she is, but I do know that from time to time she does watch readings. Anyways, we were in one of our check-in chats, and she had said something to me that I couldn't stop thinking about. She was taking stock of everything that I was doing behind the scenes and starting to showcase. And she said, you know what, you're doing something different, but you need to add more. Anyways, long story short, she saw something before I fully saw it myself. And because of that one conversation, the weekly readings were born. Not just monthly anymore. Now I was taking that overall energetic forecast and offering weekly insight, every week breaking down the transits, the collective energy, what the cosmos is highlighting and why it matters for how we move through our days. And what I noticed, even early on, even with a small and still growing audience, my beloved audience, is that something started to shift. People weren't just dropping in for a single reading and leaving. They were returning week after week. And that told me something important. That when you show up consistently, when you give people a language that they can come back to, you stop just being a reader they found once. You become a resource, a touchstone, something they return to when the week feels heavy or confusing or just like too much. And that's exactly what I wanted to build. Not just content, foundation, a place where people come not just to hear a reading, but to slowly and gently learn the language, because honestly, there's a difference between receiving a reading and understanding the language behind it. One washes over you, the other wakes something up and gives you something that you can actually move with. All right, so next topic. I want to talk about the elephant in the room and on these internet streets, just briefly, because I know that not everybody here watching this is sitting here nodding along saying, yes, yes, yes. Some of you found this video and something in you said, I'm curious, let me watch. But for somebody else, something else was said, poor sentence structure, I don't know if I should be here. Maybe it's your faith, maybe someone you love has told you that this arena is dangerous or dark or something that you should not be exploring. Maybe the word astrology carries a weight for you that has nothing to do with planets and everything to do with what you were taught to believe in. Honestly, I hear you. I'm not here to pull you away from anything. That is rooted, sacred, and real for you. What I will say is this. My understanding is astrology is just the study of the stars and the planets, how they move, the degrees at which they stand, the patterns they create, and how those patterns have been observed for thousands of years to correlate with the energy here on Earth that we navigate. That's it. It's not a religion. It's not a replacement for faith. It's not witchcraft. It's not something to be feared. And honestly, if you've ever opened a sacred text, many, I don't know if all of them, but many, and read about the wise men following the star, seasons appointed by the heavens, signs that were written in the sky, then you've already sat with the idea that what happens above has always been understood to carry meaning below. I'm not telling you what to believe, okay? I'm just asking, why close the door completely on something you haven't fully explored yet? No pressure. You can be deeply rooted in your faith and still be curious about the stars. Those two things are not enemies, okay? And for those of you who simply just don't believe, who feel that planets don't influence anything, that none of this has any bearing on your life, that's okay too, that's cool. You're allowed to feel exactly that way. But maybe, just maybe, there's a small part of you that's here anyway, that clicked on this video for a reason. I'm not going to tell you what that reason is, but I'd invite you to stay curious about it leave the door cracked. You never know what might walk through it, right? So here's what we're going to be building together: Astrology Decoded. It's not necessarily just for astrologers. However, if you are one, you are more than welcome to join the conversation and share your insights, because that would be absolutely lovely. But this is for the person who just pulled up their natal chart and immediately closed it again because it made zero sense. For the person who just had an astrological reading and is still sitting there like a deer in headlights because what the frig did they just say? It's for the person who has been listening to readings for years, but still can't quite explain why any of it matters. For the self-studier who wants more depth, not just an app telling them what to think, but actually understand what they can carry with them and use it on their own terms. It's for the curious ones, the resistant ones, the ones who aren't sure, because you belong here too. We all do. So we're going to cover a lot of bases here. The zodiac archetypes as energies, as personalities, as blueprints, the planets, and what they each represent and what it means when it shows up in a sign or in a certain house. The houses, the 12 areas of life your chart speaks to and why they matter. How all of this fits together in a natal chart. The different systems of astrology from around the world and how they each approach the same sky just differently. We're going to go over the history, the controversy, the collective energy, all of it in plain language with analogies that hopefully make sense to you and enough personality that you won't fall asleep. I hope. I'll do my best. Okay? So here's what I want you to leave with today. Astrology is a language, one of many. And like any language, you don't have to be fluent in it to benefit from learning a few words. You don't have to go all in. You don't have to build your entire life around this. You don't have to believe everything or anything at all, now or ever. That's totally up to you. I just hope that you are willing to listen, to stay curious, to crack the door open and see what the light looks like on the other side. That's all I'm asking. And if you're ready to do that with me, then please subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. But I would love it if you could drop into the comment below and tell me what you want me to break down. What's been confusing? What have you always been wondering about but never knew who to ask? There are no dumb questions here. This is a very, very, very safe space, and we're just getting started together. All right, lovies? So take care of that beautiful energy of yours, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.